Hey guys.
Hey,
Hey,
good
Jordan.
evening.
Hi, everybody.
All right, we're recording. It's just not my style to do the work, but I like finding projects. I like hiring people that are great at doing this work, and I like putting that together. Um, Passive investing, you would just be investing with somebody else who's doing all that work. So there's great opportunities to both invest passively, and then as you're an active investor and you get further along in your journey, you can start to find passive investors to invest with you. So I know real estate a lot of the time it's called passive investing, but active investing, going out and finding deals and putting a project together, can be anywhere on a scale of passive. You can be where I am, where you're not doing any of the work, but you're still managing contractors, you're managing rental properties, and you're finding the deals. Um, as passive investing, you could just be investing with another person and doing almost nothing, except in the beginning, you're analyzing the deal, you're analyzing the person putting the deal together, and making sure that there's somebody you want to invest with. And that's actually very, very important. You don't want to invest with somebody who you don't trust, no matter how great the deal might look. That can be a great way to lose money and to have a lot of headaches. But we'll talk about passive investing here real quick and talk about the differences between passive and active. And I'll give you a few resources to learn more about passive investing. So, disclaimer, I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not a tax advisor. I'm not a lawyer. I'm not an accountant. I'm just a realtor. I'm an active real estate investor, and I'm also a passive real estate investor. I own 20 units, now 21 as of today, and I'm invested in 4 passive investments. And I'll talk more about those later, about what I've invested in. But those are investments where I've just vetted the sponsor or the person putting the deal together, and I've vetted the deal, and I've just invested with them, and I just get checks every month on most of these deals. Some I get them every quarter. Great books to read to learn more about passive investing. My favorite to learn about purely just passive investing is The Hands Off Investor. A great book. It talks all about investing passively in real estate. This book is from Bigger Pockets. Another great book to read about passive investing, and it also talks about raising money as an active investor, is Raising Private Capital. You know, that title can be misleading, but a lot of it is just about, how to passively invest. So if you want to learn about passive investing, I recommend reading both of these books. They're both from Bigger Pockets. They're both 15 to 20 bucks or so, and they're absolutely worth your time. No matter where you're at in real estate investing, these are great books to read. Right. Active investing. It's a great way to get started in real estate investing, and it's just a great way to invest. I think active investing is something that you can get started for really low money down. This is how I got started real estate investing, and I actually still use some of these strategies today. But you can get started for under 15 grand. I got started with $6,000. That's all I had. Um, you don't have to have a lot of money. You can highly leverage properties when you are actively investing and you're willing to live in them. You're willing to get a little uncomfortable. So you can get started for under $15,000 by living uncomfortably and working hard. Active investing is more work and more time. That's an important thing to remember. It's active investing is typically it's hard work and it's having some extra time to put into these projects. Even if you're not doing the work yourself, you need to be able to go over there after work hours to meet contractors. You need to be able to go over on the weekends. There's all sorts of different time commitments that come with active investing that are not passive. And I think it's kind of misleading that people always talk about real estate investing as passive investing. It can absolutely be very flexible with your time. It's kind of on your own schedule, but it's not no time commitment. And you do have to have some hard work and you have to live uncomfortably and you might have to live a little bit or a little frugally for a while. But typically the returns are higher when you're active investing. I know the investment returns I aim for actively are much higher than the returns I get passively, but it takes a lot more work and effort. Passive investing, like I talked about earlier, passive investing is typically, there's lots of different ways to do it. We'll talk about that here later. but you're typically investing with somebody else who does all the work. So you're providing the money, they're doing the work in so many ways. And a lot of times, the person you're investing with will also invest some money. I typically want to see that. I want to see that the person I'm investing with is also investing their own money and has some skin in the game. If I don't know this person and they're not investing their own money, I'm not going to invest with them. I'm only invested on a few projects. I know all these people well. I've known all these people for years. I know their character. I've seen them go through deals. It makes me very comfortable investing with them. And I'll talk about how you can meet people like this later. So you might ask, why am I going to invest passively if I can invest actively? Well, maybe you've got more money than time, or maybe you don't want to spend your time and effort going out and finding deals, putting deals together, getting deals done, finding tenants for those deals, and then in the end, manage them. I don't mind doing that, and I continue to do it, but the passive money I make is a lot easier. You might say, well, can't I just put my money in the retirement or stock brokerage account? You can, but you typically don't get both cash on cash and internal rate of return, which is, we'll talk about that later. So you get your cash on cash return on your investment, and then you typically get an annualized average return on your investment too. So an average passive investment that I'm seeing right now is anywhere from a 6 to 8% return, which doesn't sound that awesome, but you got to understand that 6 to 8% is paid monthly or quarterly. And then when the project sells, maybe it's a year in, maybe it's 7 years in, maybe it's 10 years in. Each project's going to be different. When they sell, you get a return on your equity that you put into the deal. So, you know, you might have gotten that 8% cash on cash for a couple of years, and then you also get a 12 to 20% internal rate of return annualized over those however many years you held it. So the investments with passive real estate investments are great because you get what would be considered a dividend with a stock. It's much higher than a dividend, and then you make money on the sale. So the investments are much higher than you're typically going to find with any stock market account. You know, of course, you can get very active with any sort of stock investing too, and maybe your returns are better, but here you're putting it in passively, you're not doing anything, and you get a great return when it's done. You get all the benefits with active investing with no hard work or time commitments, and I think that's the biggest thing. So you put money in the beginning, you want to make sure to vet the sponsor or whoever's putting the deal together, and you want to make sure to vet the deal. Just making sure everybody's microphones are turned off. Sorry, guys. There's a couple ways to invest. So again, I am not an attorney. If any of this is even anyway not 100% accurate, I'm sorry. A 503B fund is a fund, it's a deal put together where either accredited investors or sophisticated investors can invest with the deal sponsor. 503C, which you see deals advertised on Facebook or whatever, those are probably 503C. You have to be an accredited investor to invest in that fund. What an accredited investor is, and if you're an accredited investor, all the doors are open to you, but an accredited investor has a net worth of over $1 million, excluding their personal residence, or they make over $200,000 a year as a single person and expect to continue to make that, or as a couple, they make over $300,000 a year and expect to continue to make that. So if you meet any of those requirements, if you have a net worth of over $1 million, or you have high income, 200,000 as a single, 300,000 as a couple, lots of doors are open to you. You can look at 503Cs, which are advertised investments, and get into them. A lot of investments are going to want you to be accredited unless you know who's putting them together. And even if you don't know who's putting them together, if you get to know them, and I'll talk about how you can get to know these people, you can still be eligible to do these. 503A is like a public fund. You're not going to see a lot of those. You can JV with somebody. So two people on this meetup here could get together, and so one person could have the deal, one person could have the money. That'd be a JV deal. You can also be debt. So you could be a hard money or private money lender, and you could just lend your money out to people. Maybe you want 10% and then you're charging 2 points. So you're charging 10% on your money, 2 points, meaning 2 percentage points up front, and that would be pretty generous for hard money. That means if they have a $100,000 loan from you, they give you $2,000 to get the loan, and then they pay you 10% interest on this loan. Most hard money deals are higher than that. I've seen 4 points and 14 or 15%. With interest rates down right now, hard money is also a little lower. I've heard hard money as low as 8 to 10% interest with 2 points. And again, that's a pretty good deal right there. There's a lot of different types of passive investments. Probably the most popular passive investment is investing in apartment building syndication. So what that is somebody goes out and they find an apartment building to buy, and they pool money from all these different investors. Let's say all the people on this call invested $50,000, and the guy putting it together invested $100,000. That's the money for the down payment. The guy putting it together makes a return off the work he's doing, but the passive investors might make an 8% return, and then maybe they get a 15% annualized return upon the sale. You can invest in office buildings. So there's actually people, even right now, with COVID being all crazy, there's people doing office building deals. They're getting creative. They're finding interesting deals. They're getting good deals a lot of times. They're doing these office buildings, but there are still people buying office building deals. Mobile home parks. If anybody listens to Bigger Pockets and the Bigger Pockets podcast, you probably hear Brandon Turner talk about his mobile home park fund a lot. Most passive investments you hear about will not be funds. They'll be individual investments. So you might be investing in a mobile home park in Oklahoma. He's putting together a fund, a big pool of money that goes out and buys mobile home parks. That's a way that passive investments can be done, and he's doing a lot of them. There's also single family funds. So you can invest in a fund that buys single family properties. A lot of REITs actually do this. They buy single families, apartment buildings, all sorts of stuff. So if you invest in a REIT, you're not going to get an 8% return. I think you get a 3 or 4% return most times. And you're not getting any annualized return there. You're just getting a dividend. They do a lot of single family. Industrial too. Really anything that can be syndicated is what I'm getting at here. Whether it's businesses, real estate, whatever, it's done passively. And when you get into that world, you start to see more and more opportunities open up. So private lender, if you're just a small passive investor and you want to be loaning to individual people, you can be a private lender and you can get even higher returns than 8%. You might do 10 or 11% interest and a couple points. So you're not a hard money lender, so you're not doing it full time as your job, but you can just loan money to individuals as a private lender. That's actually a very popular way to make money. Most of the time, these are to buy and hold investors who are going to get out of your private money. Maybe they refinance in a year, or flippers. There's a couple ways to fund passive investments. So a lot of people have a big 401k. You can roll over your 401k into what's called a solo 401k. This allows you to invest in passive investments with this money, but there can't be any investments tied to you at all. So look into this very carefully. Again, I'm no expert. It can't be connected to you, can't be connected up and down in your family line. You know, it could be a friend, somebody you meet at a meetup, but it can't be your daughter, can't be your dad. It can't be familiar relationships at all, really, in most cases. Another way you can invest with normal retirement funds is roll them over into a self-directed IRA. Now, the solo 401k is a little more popular, and there's a bunch of great providers to put those together. Self-directed IRA is another way to do it. Of course, there's cash. You know, if you've got a bunch of cash sitting around in the bank that you inherited from a great uncle somewhere, you can invest that cash passively, especially if it made you accredited when you got the cash. But even if you're not accredited, you can still invest this cash passively and just get checks every month or every quarter, depending on how the deals pay out. Another way to invest passively are lines of credit, most typically against your home. So if you have $1 million home and you've got it paid off, You can get a line of credit for a couple $100,000 on that pretty easily, and you can use that money to invest passively. So all I'm saying here, there's a lot of ways to find money to invest passively. Some of the benefits of investing it in these retirement accounts is it still gets treated the same way as retirement accounts always does, and it grows in these retirement accounts until retirement age. So some of the drawbacks of investing with these retirement accounts, you don't get to touch this cash anytime soon without a big penalty. But if you've got a big retirement account sitting around from a job you just quit, it might not be a bad way to grow that retirement account a little quicker than you may be able to in the stock market. Probably the easiest way I've found and met all the people I've met in passive investing opportunities is conferences. The way I found my way to the first conference I went to is I went to a meetup, met a guy who was going to a conference and wanted to see if anybody else wanted to go. I went to a conference with him, and I just kept meeting people who had these opportunities, and I got to know these people over time. And two of these people are people I've invested with because I've known them for years. I've seen them go through deals. I've seen the way they interact with people. There's just no mystery in anything about them. I know them pretty well. I wouldn't say I know them as well as some of my good friends, but I trust them with my money, and I know they do a really good job with the things they do. Of course, another way to learn about passive investing opportunities is just going to meetups in your town. When we're allowed to go to meetups in our town again, or go to online meetups right now, it can be a great way to meet people who are providing opportunities for passive investors. Just continually network with as much as you can. Podcasts can also be a great way to do it. A lot of these people that are putting together these opportunities have podcasts. So if you want to invest in multifamily real estate, just search multifamily podcasts. Chances are the people putting these podcasts together put together these opportunities to invest in multifamily real estate. That's a great way to find them. Most of the big podcasts that I know of, Bigger Pockets more recently, but most of the big podcasts I know of have people that put them together who are also putting together passive investment opportunities. Facebook groups can also be great. Jump on a bunch of real estate Facebook groups, start talking about what you're looking for, and be cautious because as you start talking about wanting passive investments, your messenger is just going to get flooded. So be cautious there. Get to know people, maybe sit back and watch for a while and see who's really doing it and it's a stand-up person. But if you comment and look for opportunities in Facebook groups, the opportunities are going to find you. Again, just this general networking with people, saying, hey, this is what I'm looking to do. Maybe I'm not looking to do it right now, but I'm interested in doing it in the future, and start to get to know people. I recommend if you're going to do a passive investment for your first investment, look for a little while, get to know people, and invest with somebody who you're comfortable with. Maybe invest in the minimum amount they'll allow. So on most of these projects, that's $50,000. But on a lot of them, more recently, I've seen them down as low as $25,000. Again, if you're just getting started and this is all the money you have, probably better off to go active. You know, you can put $15,000 down and buy a duplex here in Austin, Texas, and live in it and save a bunch of money and get to learn the real estate game. I think that's a much better way to go than starting off passive investing. It's just so much education in such a little amount of time and so much leverage to do so. With passive investing, you're jumping on some leverage there. So they're getting maybe 75 to 70% loan to value with the thing. So they're getting a loan for 70% of the project or more. It may be up to 80%, but you can get up to 96.5% loan to value with the project that you're buying. So maybe start yourself first. Unless you've just got way more money than time and you need to invest with other people, it can be a great way to invest in that case. Another one is Instagram. You know, search passive investing, search multifamily, you know, search real estate hashtags on Instagram. You'll find tons of people that are putting these deals together. Again, follow people, vet people, talk to people who've invested with them multiple times. really get to know them before you start throwing your money in with them. There's a lot of people out here putting these things together right now. Again, I'm not one of them, but there's a lot of people out there doing it. And you want to be cautious with who you put your hard-earned money with. The last thing you want to do is lose your money. The next thing you want to do is make money off of it. So number one, don't ever lose money. Number two, make sure you're investing with somebody that's a stand-up person and it's going to make sure that they take good care of your money just as if it were your own. Questions you need to ask yourself here. What do you have more of? Do you have more time or more money? Do you want to go out and take the risks of actively investing, or you just want to put your money with somebody that does this every day and let them do it? Your returns are going to be different with each. Active investing is going to give you a higher return. Passive investing's almost no work. You need to vet the person in the beginning, but then you just kind of collect checks. You want to understand what your long-term goals are. So again, with passive and active, with active, if you're managing it, you're out finding the deals, you're doing all the work, you need to be around to do that work. With passive, you invest with people, you could be anywhere in the world and just push a button to invest or call your banker to send a wire to invest. It's a lot less time and energy. You don't have to be in any certain spot. And you really need to understand, this is a big thing you need to understand. Is your time better spent working on your business or working in your job? If you get better at your job and make considerably more money, is it better spent doing that? Or is it better spent pursuing real estate deals? So real estate deals in the beginning might not make you a ton of money. And if you could make way more money building a business or getting better at your job and getting promotions, might be better time spent there. Again, it's just really all about you and what's best for you. So know your goals, figure out what your long-term goals are, and figure out where your time is best spent. Your time is all you got. If you waste it, you can't get it back. So know that before you get started with anything, and you're going to be in a much better spot. Okay, looks like that was the end of what I had here. Again, guys, I am not an expert in this, but any questions you've got, just unmute yourself and let me know how I can help.
Okay, me, yes. Hi, of course I have a question.
Hi.
So I'm an active investor, and it's, I know all that. And when I started on my path to be active investor, Ari, I learned that you have to always have an exit strategy, because you can't consider like happy path. Like what if something goes wrong? So can you tell us about exit strategies with passive investments?
That's it's an awesome question, and it's a very important point. So with passive investments, typically they're not liquid. Where real estate is pretty illiquid, passive investments in real estate are more illiquid. So you need to sell your shares of a passive investment if you want to get out. The deal sponsor or whoever's putting this together, let's say it's a syndication, you get shares in a company that owns this apartment building. You would need to sell the shares in this company to somebody else. And maybe it's doing really well and that's easy to do. Maybe it's just doing mediocre and that's harder to do, but they're fairly illiquid. So understand this when you get into these, that they're not very easy to get out of. They're done when the deal says it's done.
Jordan, I actually meant exit strategy, not like a liquid to sell, because I suddenly need the money to buy a new car or something. What I meant is like, okay, it's active investment. Let's say, well, right now we have top of the market. Let's say I'm buying a property to rehab, but in 3 months when I'm putting it on the market collapsed. So I cannot make money on it. So let's say I paid like $200,000 into the, made 50,000 in repairs, and now I cannot even sell it for 250. So it means my exit strategy in this case converted into rental, so I don't lose money. So exit strategy is the ability to do something to save your investment instead of losing it, and say in case something goes south. Because if you invest with other partners, you might be in a second position or third position or even like 10th position. Yeah. So, and I heard that in this case, you practically have no power, because even like if the property is losing value, the first position will be paid first, the second position will be paid second, and if you're in a 10th position, it may never even get to you, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah. So you're talking about being debt on a property. So first position lien means that you're in number one and you're paid first. If you're
Right.
second position lien, which I wouldn't want to be a second position lien, that means I'm paid back after number one is paid. I only invest in syndications where I buy shares of a company
Mm.
and the person running the company calls the shots. So that's another thing it's important to understand is you're not really calling any shots here. You know, you just put your money with somebody you trust, which is why I really recommend getting to know these people, knowing their investment strategy, knowing their history, and knowing who they are as a person, because you're not going to get to call the shots. You're just along for the ride in most cases. If you're a lender on a deal, you would have a lien, maybe a first position or second position lien, and you have a little more control there. But typically, if you're investing in, which most of what I'm referring to here is an apartment building syndication, you're just an owner in the company that owns this property. And, you know, as an owner in Apple, I don't have any say in what Apple does. Very similar to this. I own shares of investments here, and I don't have any say with what they do. You know, I can call the lead person on the deal and ask them questions if I want to, and I could give them my input, but I don't think they're going to listen. You know?
Well, yes, because you mentioned the private lending. In this case,
Yep.
you're in the first or second position because it's not a syndicate. If you kind of like getting on a deal when somebody tries to fix and flip, that's where positions come in place. And I'm really not familiar about the syndication, so that's actually very interesting information. Thank you very much. But then there is always a risk. So what are the risks and how, like, what are the backup? Okay, not exit strategy, backup strategies or something, you know,
Yeah.
because even if it's just $25,000 or $50,000, you obviously don't want to lose it because, like, what if it's that apartment and the market crashes, or they can't find renters, or nobody's paying the rent, and they can't evict, like coronavirus? Like, what do
Yeah,
you do?
absolutely. Um, you know, as far as having backup strategies there, and the risks of investing your money in a passive investment. I've heard of people losing in some of these books that we talk about people losing all their money, their life savings. You can just lose everything. So that's the risk, is you lose all your money. You know, I think the second, maybe you get most of your money back. Another scenario is you get most of your money back, not even all of it back. Maybe you get all your money back, but you don't get any of the returns that you expected. There's lots of different things that can happen, but all of these investments have disclaimers in them saying, hey, you could lose everything. So that's the downside of this. The chances of you losing everything are very low, but there's always a chance you lose everything. Because again, we talked about first and second position liens. You are the equity for this. So if they're getting a loan for 80%, you're investing in part of the 20%. The 80% loan comes first. So the lender doesn't care that you invested your $50,000 in this. They care about the $8 million they invested in it. So yeah, the risks are you lose everything. So if you really, really, really want to know the people you're investing with, and you really, really, really want to know their business plan, you get an offering memorandum when you're going to invest in anything like this that tells you all about the deal they're doing. And you want to know what they've done in the past to overcome issues. Yeah, because you could lose everything. That's it.
Yes, because technically, and is there some kind of like a formula to look at the loan to value, percent? Because usually, like, okay, so 80% is going to be borrowed from the bank, and then 20% will be borrowed from a whole bunch of people, like you, one of them, right? So is there any kind of formula to look at and thinking, oh no, it's way too over, because too much debt is never good, because every bump in the market will actually throw you out of the seat. So is there some kind of formula?
Yep. All these deals will have, they'll tell you what the debt is there. So they have broken down financials in all these deals. And it'll say, hey, we're getting a loan for 70% or 65%, or maybe a lot of them will go up to 80%. I haven't seen them at 80% too often during the coronavirus, but I've seen them at 70 and 75% loan to value. But yeah, they'll tell you all that too. When you're looking at these deals, before you invest is the time to ask all these questions. Ask whatever questions you have. If they can't answer them, be a little weary. But they
Hey,
should
Jordan.
have information like that in there right away.
Hey, Jordan. Thank you for setting this up. This is super informative.
Yeah,
One question I had was, how do you evaluate these deals, right? Is it the same way you do a private, like single family home or a multi-family home, or are there different parameters or criteria you look at? Of course, the ones you talked about make sense, right? Like making sure the people who are running it is legit and we have confidence around them. But other than that, beyond that,
so
how do you?
Yeah, they'll give you all the information you need to, so like we were talking about, they'll tell you all the financials of the deal. They'll tell you what they're expected to do. They'll tell you the historical performance of it over the last couple of years, usually. But I think more important than any of that is knowing the people you're investing with. Because, the deal might look great on paper, but anybody can put something together good on paper. It looks, if it looks great on paper, that's great. But I want to see that not only does it look great on paper, but this person has a history of being conservative when analyzing deals, and maybe they overshoot all the time and do really well. That's great. If they were really conservative on the way they analyze deals, and right now, a lot of these lenders are requiring lots of reserves compared to what they used to require. So they might want 9 to 12 months reserves. I think they were going up to 18 months during the coronavirus in the beginning. I want to say it's around 9 to 12 months right now. But if they're very conservative, if they say, hey, this property down the street gets rents of $1,500, but we think we can get $1,400 on this one with all these improvements, maybe they're just being conservative to be conservative. And when they're going to take a lot of other people's money to put together, that's good to know. But you'll get an offering memorandum that has all this information in these. These will be, more than a dozen pages long most of the time, with information about properties nearby, information about projects they've done in the past, information about lots of people on the team, and then definitely information about what they expect to do with this property and what the expenses are, and where they think they're going to be in the long run. So it's a little different than analyzing a single family. There's a lot more information there, really.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there more like, legit or institutional investors doing this, like companies who are doing it, compared to, finding like individual people who are doing it?
Yeah, a lot of these companies that are doing this are actually really big. There's a couple companies out there now with over $1 billion worth of assets under management. They've been doing this for a long time. I invest with one of them. But yeah, that's why I really think it's important to find somebody who you trust, who's been doing it for a while. And when I say somebody, I'm typically talking about a company. If you like, I wouldn't be able to put something like this together on my own. Not even if I knew what I was doing, it's too much work for one person. I don't do this. I don't have any plans to do this in the near future. I don't think I'll ever even do this, but who knows? It wouldn't be just me. It'd be a group of people that do this over time, and you want to look at all these people. Let's say there's 2 to 5 people in this group, and then they're hiring a property management company. They've got a lender behind them. They've got a whole team of people behind them. You want to make sure that this is a trustworthy team of people that really knows what they're doing. And yeah, a lot of times they are big companies, and this is all they do.
Do you have recommendations on some of these companies to at least start our research on?
Yeah, absolutely. Just reach out to me. I'll put my email here in the chat box. I think you've already got it, but reach out to me and I can refer you to a couple people. Again, I know some people who I've invested with, and I recommend
14 yards for the rookie from Florida State. Well, the Rams get this nice double team right up front, and you're going to see then what movement that creates in the lane that they have. So already we've seen.
Oh. What happened?
Somebody watching football.
Yeah.
Hi, Jordan. I have a question.
Yeah.
My name is Kennedy Gregory. I'm from Austin, Texas. I'm also a realtor. Love your PowerPoint and lots of great information. How would I create a fund for passive investors to come in and basically want to invest their money with me?
I have absolutely no idea. I would reach out to an attorney and talk about what you're looking to do. You want to reach out to some sort of syndication attorney. Again, I've never put anything like this together. I've just invested in them. That it's a lot of work. It's a lot of money. You're probably looking at somewhere from $50,000 on to put this together. I will see if I can pull up an attorney here that I've heard speak that I really enjoyed. But yeah, I have no clue as my answer there.
Okay. What about as a passive investor, what are the questions that you're going to want to ask as far as, you know, if I should put my money into this specific investment?
Yeah, I want to know what they've done in the past. Like I keep saying, I put the name of an attorney that I've heard speak that was really good, Gene Trowbridge. I know he does a lot of work for a lot of these bigger guys. I want to know, you know, what knowledge you have about the market, you know, how many projects you've done in the market, you know, how much have you done in the past? You know, again, for me, the most important thing is the person. If I trust the person, I don't have too many concerns more than I can read and what they're going to put together, because I know that they're a trustworthy person. You know, I think my biggest question for people is, how many times have you done this? You know, how do you know that all of your estimations are on track? You know, they're like, oh, I've researched this and that. I want to know somebody, you know, I invest with a lot of companies. I invested in a couple companies who say, hey, we have a project down the street. We did these renovations to this project and the rents ended up here. So that's awesome. They can say, hey, I've done this in this neighborhood essentially, and here's where it ended. So if somebody just doesn't have the experience, I'd be very, very, very weary of investing with them. Will's got a question about active investing. What can we help with, Will?
Yeah, hi Jordan. Thanks for doing this. So my question is basically starting from the bottom. I mean, I work in healthcare, so I'm not a realtor. I don't have any connections whatsoever in real estate outside of, you know, a few people in a different city. So you were talking about getting a duplex in Austin, which a lot of people think of. I mean, I thought about it, but when I go on Zillow to look at duplexes, they're all like $600,000. I mean, if you're trying to start from the bottom with, let's say, 6 to 15,000, I mean, how is that even a possibility if you don't already have money?
Yeah. So just for an example, I'm in a duplex in East Austin right now. I bought this for $12,500 down using an FHA loan. It was $341,000. So I got a pretty good deal on it. It was sitting on the market for a while, had terrible pictures. This is a subject I could talk about all day. You just need to be patient. You need to find a realtor that understands what they're doing and does this all the time. And you need to find a lender that also understands house hacking and does this all the time. So I only work with lenders that know what they're doing with this stuff because I've had bad experiences with lenders that don't. But if you're looking for a duplex in Austin to live in, yeah, they get pricey, but there are a lot of duplexes under $450,000 that make sense. It takes time. I would say it takes 3 to 6 months on average to find a deal. It takes putting between 2 and 6 or 7 offers in and losing most of those, of course, until you get one. And it just takes being persistent and being willing to sit there and be told no over and over and over. but you always find one no matter what, if you just keep looking and you keep working hard and you've got the right team. So the right team being lender, realtor, and any sort of contractors or handyman that you need to help you with the thing. Again, everybody wants to work with a contractor, but if it's minor repairs, you might want to just look to a handyman, or maybe you do some of the work yourself. You know I didn't have, like I said, I didn't have much money when I got started. I paid to get the bigger stuff that I could move in done right away. And I lived in a place that was kind of a shanty for a little while until I had the money to fix it up. And my bathroom door didn't stay on. So I had to lift it up and pull it in to shut it every time. But after a couple months, I had the money to fix it. So I did it. But you just got to live rough in the beginning if you really want to make some money. If you've got some money to get started, or you can do an FHA 203K loan, you can get the property rehab before you buy it. What an FHA 203K loan is, it's essentially a renovation loan for 3.5% down. So you're buying a duplex that's $300,000. You need to do $30,000 worth of rehab. You're getting a loan on $330,000, and you're putting your down payment down based on 3.5% of 330. So some contractor comes in and does the renovation before you move in. You pick them, you go through all this work to find them, get the quotes, get all that paperwork done, which is a lot of paperwork. I wonder if Arion's still on here. We had a guy on here earlier. It's actually doing one right now. And you can find them. You just have to be willing to live a little uncomfortably. Maybe you live in an area you really didn't want to love to live in, but they're out there.
So how long does it take to see a return of investment on, let's say it's 350 or 400,000? How long until you're actually making money?
It's a lot of variables on that. So this place I bought for 340. I actually funded the rehab myself. So I'll be in it for about 60 when it's all said and done. And it will be about 6 months in before I start living for really cheap. But once it's all done here, I'll be renting both sides for $2,000 a piece. My mortgage will be like $2,200-$2,300, and I'll be making a good return on my investment just right then. And then when I move out of it, and 6 months later, I'll be making an even better return. So I would say it just depends on how deep of a value add project it is. If you can get all the renters out right away and immediately raise the rents, that's all the better. But if you have renters that have a lease for a while and you have to wait for them to get out before you rehab or before you can raise the rent, it might be a little longer. But it can be as soon as day one. So I have a lot of clients that live for under $1,000 a month really easily. That's my goal too, to live for under $1,000 a month. If you want to add roommates to that, so my first duplex, my portion of the mortgage was around $700 a month. I brought in a roommate for $450 a month, which I gave him way too good of a deal. Do not do $450 a month if you live any reasonable sized city. The 600 is about the lowest I would go for a roommate. And then I Airbnb'd one other room and brought in another $600 a month off that. I actually made money to live in this duplex. So I saw a good return on month 2 or 3. And I was getting paid to live there. And I think that's a pretty good return.
Yeah, that's interesting. Last question, because I know other people want to talk.
Sure.
How much realistically, like you said, you put 15 down, how much realistically in savings or whatever do you need to have? Like, I know that varies project to project, but like, is there a percentage or just like a certain amount before you get started?
I mean, you definitely need a down payment. So you need 3.5% of whatever you're looking to buy. I didn't have any more of that on my first project. I didn't even have the money to do the basic rehab. I had to borrow the money for that. I think a lot of that depends on your risk tolerance too. I'm fairly open to risk. So I put every dollar I had into my first project. I put every dollar I had into a few projects until more recently. But I think that it's a lot more of a personal thing too. And it depends on what your situation is with your work, what your situation is with how much money you need to live. I would put all that into consideration. If you've got kids, I got started real estate investing single, living with a couple roommates, and I knew worst case scenario, I'm gonna have to cover the mortgage, which I could easily cover. I wasn't worried about it. But if you have a lot of other people to take care of, that might be a different thought there. But yeah, for me, it was just having enough money for the down payment and whatever the lender required me to have, which was essentially the down payment in that case.
Okay, thank you.
Again, I'm not recommending anybody do what I've done. I've taken a lot of big risks. They've worked out great for me, but you know, it's just, that's my risk tolerance.
Hey, Jordan, this is Jeff in St. Paul.
Hey, Jeff.
Congrats on 21 units, by the way.
Thank
It's
you.
pretty close to my personal goal. I think my path is going to be pretty similar. I plan to do a lot of active investing. I'm closing on my first duplex in 2 weeks, partially thanks to you for the introductions on Bigger Pockets. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
And my question for you is a little bit subjective, but I can see myself long term eventually kind of hitting a cap and shifting my eyes towards passive investment opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
What are your biggest bottlenecks? You know, when you look at what you're capable of with your active investments, you know, maybe you have a similar philosophy to me in that I'm deliberately pursuing active investments without property management. So when I do hit that threshold, I know how to pick a good property manager and I know what to look for in a good fund. And you learn by doing, right? So in your experience, what are the bottlenecks that kind of cap you out in terms of active investing?
My bottlenecks really have been time and just not being able to be everywhere at once. So I really just back to time. You know, if I had more time, I could do a lot more active investing, but my primary focus day to day is helping my clients. So I can't be out there looking for deals all day or out there putting deals together or working on projects. And I have to make sure that my time is spent helping my clients because they put a lot of trust and faith in me. And I don't want to be out there doing other things that takes me away from that. So yeah, my biggest bottleneck is really time. It's all time. And that's one reason I got into passive investing too. You know, I love active investing, but like I've talked about, it takes a lot of time. You know, you got to have more time. And at this point in time, it benefits me to work helping other people and not try to go out and find deals. For instance, I'm here in Austin, Texas. San Antonio's not too far from me in Austin, and it looked attractive to go down to San Antonio and buy property there. I went and looked at 3 properties in San Antonio over a few week period of time. It's about an hour and a half away from me. I realized every time I went and looked at a property in San Antonio, that was a whole day gone. My whole day's gone. You know, I can't do anything else almost in that day unless I'm staying up till 10 o'clock working. So yeah, I need to spend my time better.
Are you using property management services now with your active investments, or are you?
You know, that's property management's never taken so much time from me, and that's actually something I'm looking to get into more in the future. I'm working to be able to do that sometime late next year here in Austin. I don't mind property management. It's finding and sourcing deals, which is the harder thing for me. And you know, Andrew's talking about due to you needing more time. Are you open to people bringing deals to you? Yeah, absolutely. I think I can get more done with other people. Again, I just did my first deal with a partner today, actually. So we'll see. That experience might be great. It might not. I'm just not sure. But I know time is my resource that I lack the most. So I need to spend it the best I can. So yeah, time's the most. That's why I like passive investing, because I know people and I can put money with them and get good returns.
Jordan, how do you compare Austin market with San Antonio in terms of appreciation?
I think it's hard to beat Austin for appreciation. There's just not many other places in the country that have Tesla move into them and Apple move into them. And there's really not any other places in the country. So you're not gonna. I don't know much about the San Antonio market. Again, that's kind of why I stopped going down there because I'm spending a lot of time trying to learn things that didn't benefit me. But yeah, I know that it doesn't even compare to Austin with appreciation.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right, guys. Anybody have any more questions here?
Just a quick question. You were talking about the conferences when you started, that the conference helped you to meet people and get into it. So can you tell us more, like, what do you mean by conferences? What conferences?
There's a couple of them that I really enjoy. There's the Old Capital Conference. That's here in Texas. I'll see if I can find links for all these actually. Old Capital Conference is really good in Minnesota there. So I know there's some people on the Minnesota call here. The North Star Real Estate Conference is really good. If we're allowed to leave wherever we are, I intend on going back there next year. I like the Best Ever Conference. The Bigger Pockets Conference is really good. I think that's going to be, I want to say that's going to be in New Orleans next year. So I just put, they're actually doing one virtually for the North Star Real Estate Conference. Bigger Pockets Conference, you guys can all find that pretty easy. Old Capital Conference.
Can you please put it all in the chat so everybody can kind of like see, because right now it's so much new information. I don't know for everybody, but for me, it's a lot of new information.
Yeah.
So, because looks like, I mean, you gave us great information, but technically to start investing, you need to learn more. Or at least I need to learn more.
Oh, absolutely. If you're going to invest passively, you need to learn a lot more than the stuff I've talked about here. Again, I'm no expert. I've just done a few. I just wanted to talk about the open possibilities out there for everybody. Go to stuff like this. Go to the Bigger Pockets Conference. I'd say the Best Ever Conference, which is the third one I put there, the third link. Probably one of the best ones I've been to. I think they're doing it virtually in 2021. I think the North Star Real Estate Conference is going to be virtual for a while. I want to say the Old Capital Conference will be next October. Go to conferences like this. Just talk to people that do these kinds of things. And
Jordan, sorry to interrupt you. You said you put links. I don't see any links in chat. Is it just me? Oh, wait, what did you mean? You said it's a third link, but I don't see anything in the chat.
I put them in. And did people not see them there? Maybe they weren't.
Anyone else can see? No, looks like anyone can see the link. Is it just?
Okay, here we go. Everybody see it now?
Yes. And this one is for what? It's just one.
It's Best Ever Conference 2021. Okay, 1 second here. I'm putting the Old Capital Conference in here. Yeah, these are all great conferences. Old Capital, North Star Real Estate. This is not an exhaustive list of conferences. There are more conferences out there than you could ever imagine. I know Jake and Gino, who are a popular educational crew, they put together a good conference. I've gone to that and I actually really like it. The North Star Real Estate Conference in Minneapolis is great. Todd, who puts that together, is awesome. Bigger Pockets Conference has got everything from flipping houses to multifamily real estate syndication. Best Ever Conference is going to be more syndication focused. So if you're looking for that kind of stuff, go there.
Which one is in Minneapolis, you said? Sorry, I just, because I was typing, it's not like I'm not listening or something.
NREC Virtual Experience.
Oh, that's the one from Minneapolis. Oh, so you gave that link. I thought you just talking about one. Yeah.
Yep, it's really good. It's also very affordable for a conference, but I really like that stuff. And they do, it looks like they're doing events every couple days too. So jump on their website, look at their events, go talk to those guys. They're great. I actually helped put that together a few years ago. I did the first one with them. I really enjoyed it. I go back now and check it out when they do it.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hey, Jordan, it's Jacoby Lewis here.
Hey, Jacoby.
Hey, thanks for putting this together. I do appreciate it and sending me the invite there. And also thanks for connecting on Bigger Pockets.
Of course.
I recently, again, I'm in North Austin. I recently just purchased my first duplex in North Austin area.
Nice.
Looking to continue investing, keeping, trying to stay on the, I guess, appreciation train here in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Wanted to hear from you. What are you, I guess, what's next for you from an investing standpoint? I know you have the duplex in East Austin. Are you going to continue to invest in Austin in real estate? Are you looking elsewhere? What's kind of your strategy?
So I invest in Austin and in Louisville. In Austin, I'm going to continue to house hack every year as often as, well, every year. I can't do it more than every year, unfortunately, or I would.
Yeah.
But I'm going to keep doing them every year until I can't anymore. But I'm buying properties in Louisville, Kentucky with a partner right now. I'm from Louisville, so I know it well.
Okay.
And that's it for me right now. I'm in Austin, Louisville, and passive investments are all the bandwidth I have personally. Like I said, I'm busy working with clients most of the day, so I don't need to go out and find other opportunities. I love investing in Austin. I've gotten great returns investing here. Not as much cash flow, but like you said, the appreciation is amazing.
Yep.
And it's hard to beat that. So why would I look at it personally and say, why would I not want to continue to buy in here and be a part of that? So I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
Would you stay with the duplex route, or would you even house hack single family? What's your preference?
Yeah.
I know duplex can get expensive here, so and they're tough to come by.
I like that they're a little more expensive because I can get a larger amount of debt, so I can get more debt to pay down over time. I don't know if I'm weird like that where I want debt because I know that's going to pay itself off over time.
Mm-hmm.
I like multifamily house hacking because, my girlfriend and I don't really want to live with 3 other people in a single family. And I know it's a great way to do it. It's just not really for me. So yeah, we're going to stay probably duplex. If we can find good 4-plex deals or good triplex deals, then great. But it's just easier to find duplexes for me.
Gotcha. Nice. Yeah, I do. I want to continue to invest in the Austin area, but as prices continue to rise, I do want to find a market kind of like a Louisville or somewhere that's a lower entry point and then potentially more cash flow as well. So
yeah. I'll actually be doing a meetup here probably in 2 months at my duplex here. We're going to be rehabbing the other unit. Like I talked about earlier, I had a tenant. It was kind of a holdover tenant. She was there from the last landlord. Her rent's really low. She's not moving out until the end of this month. And I'm going to be rehabbing that unit most likely in January, end of January, early February. And I'll have a meetup here to talk about that. If
nice.
Things go well, like it's so unknown at this point. I saw a board of scientists approved a vaccine today, but the FDA still needs to approve it. So
yeah.
Hopefully they start distributing that here real soon and we can start to get out of this thing.
Definitely. Yep. Let me know. I'd be happy to come by for sure.
Absolutely. I'd love to do that. Andrew says come to Minnesota. Andrew, I'd be I would also be open to investing in Minnesota just because I know it so well and have great people up there like Adam Taffel who works with me. Yeah, I would absolutely be open to doing that. I'm looking for opportunities there too, just not so often. Again, that's a focus thing for me. There's so many opportunities. There's so little time. All right, guys. It is about 8 o'clock here, Central Time. Any questions you got, reach out to me on Bigger Pockets or Facebook. Not on Instagram so much right now, so I will respond, but it's a little bit more delayed compared to Facebook or Bigger Pockets. Instagram just got a little negative for me right now, but anything you need, reach out. Always here to help. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, Jordan.
Yep. Talk to you guys soon.
Have a good week.
Thank you.
Have a great day.